This is the last lecture of Project Framework series. I will discuss some of the topics which are remaining in the Project Framework series. The first is the project life cycle. In the project life cycle, there are different phases. Typically, there are 5 phases. In the beginning is the initiation phase, and then you plan for your project, which is the planning phase. After the planning is done, then the work starts, which is the execution phase. And after that, there's a control phase in which you loop through where you check how's your execution going. So it's actually going from the execution back to control and control to execution, and in between there might be some changes in the planning phase. After that, once everything is done, then you're ready for the closure phase, which is the end of the project. Project stage gates is actually a review which is done at the end of each project phase. So for all those different phases, as we mentioned in the previous slide, you want to have a review before you start to the next phase. The review is done against a set of metrics or some sort of a goal which you set. If the goal is met, then you go to the next stage. Otherwise, you start working again to fix the bugs or the features which are missing before you go to the next stage. If the project phase fails to meet these metrics, the next phase may not be allowed to continue. And these phase end reviews are called stage gates or phase exits or kill points. Typically in a project, we always talk about the triple constraint. Triple constraint consists of time, cost, and a scope. And changing any of those constraint cause a change in the constraint. So for example, if you want to change the scope of a project, then definitely it will increase the time or decrease the time based on the scope changes, and also it will increase or decrease the cost. Similarly, if you want to shorten the project, you decrease the time, then it will obviously reduce the scope, and also it might increase the cost or decrease the cost. And also with all these constraints, you have quality involved. The quality might be good or it might suffer. Stakeholders have different view of constraints. So for example, for the architects, the scope is important, but for the project sponsor, probably the time or the cost is the most important thing. Progressive elaboration is a term which we use when we go from the beginning of the project to the next phases of the project. In the beginning of the project, the scope is not clear. So as you progress, you know more about the scope of the project or more understanding of the project. So this is something like, if you start a journey in the beginning, you don't know what you will find ahead. So as you start the journey, you will have a better understanding of your travel. So similarly, when you start a project in the beginning, you have a scope, but which is not clear. So think about like if you are building a fuel-efficient car. The scope is to build fuel-efficient car, but as you go through the project cycle, you will learn more about what resources you need or what technologies you need to employ to get the project done. So it is an iterative process where you go back and forth and check your plan, and as the need arises, you modify your plan. So it progresses throughout your project management. The PMO or the Project Management Office is a group which provides centralized project management services. The role of PMO may vary across organizations. Some organizations have a very powerful PMO. In some organization, it's just a formal organization. So PMO may provide services related to project management. It may be directly responsible for project management. So the main point is the PMO is an office or project management office which provides services to the project managers. Enterprise environmental factors will be used a lot when we go to the next lectures for the planning phase or in the planning process groups. Um, Enterprise environmental factor, it refers to factors in the company that influence the project. It may include cultural factors, political climate, infrastructure, and other external factors within the organization. Um, Environmental factors are important in any organization. So think about if you are working for a startup company or a Fortune 500 company, there is a difference in the culture of the company. Similarly, if you're working for a technology company, the culture is different. While if you're working for a financial company, so all these environmental aspects are important when you are doing planning to plan for the project. So this factor will be used as an input in many planning processes. And finally, we have the organization process asset. It is a repository of organization's previous experience. So it is some sort of asset for an organization uh, in the sense that whatever work they have done in the past, they keep track all the information or the lesson learned for the previous projects, which they can use for the next project. So it is some sort of a treasure for the organization going forward as they have more experience with the similar project or similar things which they have done in the past. And organization process assets also consist of good practices like follow each project, and also it has templates, forms, and different sort of tools which they employ to get things done fast and easier. So the templates can be employed um, uh, get the processes in the project management easier, and also a lot of work uh, that has been done in the past can be used as a good lesson go through the project management for the next projects. And that's all I have for this project framework series. And I hope you will visit the site to get the next lecture. Thank you.